Welcome. Thanks for logging on. I hope you can hear me okay. If you can just check in with me, please. Let me know that you are that you've got notification of this stream, and if you can let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm just going to put something right over here on the channel for you. There we go. Right, I just need to put something in the description box directly underneath. There we go. Right, how are you? Hope you are all well. If you're new to the channel, this is the Catch Fishing channel on YouTube, live stream for July 2021. How are you all? Please, if you can let me know if you're here. Nobody's messaged me just yet. I think we're okay. There we go. Aaron, Andreas, good evening. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope you are all safe. Hope you are all well. If you'd like to let me know where you are. Aloha. Good evening, Dimitar. So many people already here. As you probably know, it's an unannounced live stream. If you are new to the channel, thanks for checking this channel out. We have a monthly live stream on this YouTube platform every month, and it's just really just to kind of give everyone and subscribers an update on what's happening, what I've been up to, and what's coming up over the next 4 weeks, through the next month. And I mean, this channel we're based in the UK, and it's a fishing channel, but it's mainly revolves around match fishing. But now it's over the last few months, the last year or so, it's kind of branched out into general fishing. And that was always the long-term goal. It was created on match fishing, based on feeder fishing. And that was really my kind of quest or my journey in improving my skills as quickly as possible to as high a level as possible. And that was where I eventually broke into the England feeder squad. And once this channel got established, it was then the aim to do more fishing films. But this is not a channel that is just kind of about how to. Yes, it is. There are hundreds. There's about 400 videos on this channel. Lots of how to fishing basics if you are new to the sport. But for the last year or two, this channel has been more about sharing experiences. You know, there are thousands of how-to videos out there, certainly on YouTube. So if you want to brush up on your skills, there are thousands to go through there. But this is more about sharing the experiences. You know, I'm surrounded by lots of wonderful people, and a lot of the positions that I find myself in, I'm very fortunate to be there, and I love sharing the experiences with you because I know there are lots and lots of people out there that aren't as fortunate as me to even take part in a lot of the events I get involved in and visit the venues that I fish. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new to the channel, then good evening, everybody. Everybody's logging in. That's great to see you all here. Like I say, I really hope you're all well. I know we've got quite a few here from the UK. Andreas is in Sweden. Good evening. Luke's here. Now then, how are you, Bagger? I'm okay, thank you. Very, very busy, but I'm going to be telling you all about that tonight. There are lots of you on here who are patrons, and that basically means that if you want to join this channel as a member, become a patron to the channel, then you get lots more extra videos. But we do more live streams, and the reason why I don't do more live streams on here on YouTube, I'll be absolutely honest with you right now, and that is basically because the last 2 or 3 that I've done, I've upset people unintentionally, and that's because the YouTube platform is much bigger with 20-odd thousand subscribers. I'm sat here on my own, and I can't go through the chat. I can't go through every comment. I just can't do it. It's impossible. And there were a few people asking questions, and I just never got a chance to answer their questions. And a couple of them got really upset about that. And, you know, I didn't want to, you know, get in that position again. So that's why I only do one a month on here. Whereas the ones on Patreon TV, it's a lot more intimate. There are nowhere near as many members. And so I can literally go through every question in the chat. So that's why I kind of keep that for that channel. But it's great to see so many logged on. Like I say, I didn't announce that I was going to do this tonight, and that's because I didn't know if I was going to get a chance to do it. I've had a busy day. I'll tell you all about what I've been up to. And I didn't want to let you down, but I promised you I was going to do it. So here we are. Anyway, Dimitar's in Bulgaria. Good evening, Dimitar. Ian Taylor. Good evening from a very sunny Exmouth in Devon. Very good. I'm glad it's sunny there. It is here. For those that don't know, I'm in South Yorkshire, right in the middle of England, in Sheffield, and it's very sunny here as well. It's a lovely evening out there, and I honestly felt as though we wouldn't have many logging on tonight because they're probably all sat in their gardens with their family and loved ones having barbecues and maybe 1 or 2 well-earned beers to celebrate the end of the week and looking forward to the weekend. So Rob's here. Good evening, Rob. John, hi, Jamie. Loving your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you, mate. Doug's here from Bedford. Hello from Belton. Simon, good evening, mate. Colin's here. Always enjoy your fishing experiences. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I just want to say to you is that we've got a nice selection of members, subscribers, and general viewers, I think, logged on right now. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you. I'm now at a position where I think I've uploaded 2 videos every week now. I'm in a position to do that, and that's what I've been doing. And I think you've been enjoying the uploads. But I'm only able to do that through you watching the videos and the members on Patreon TV as well. It's very much it's a machine. You know, one bit helps, another bit out, and I think you're enjoying 2 uploads a week. And if you are, please let me know if 2 uploads a week is all right for you. I can drop it down to 1 if it's too many. Do 1 really long film, or I can keep doing 2 a week, or possibly even 3 a week, or 4. Who knows? But please let me know. Everything I do, I only want to create videos and share experiences with you that you're interested in sharing, in watching. I don't want to assume you want to get involved in stuff, so please let me know. I feed off your feedback. Lord Pete is here. Hello, Dimitar. Yeah, and I must say that if I ever learned something about fishing, it's because of your videos and live streams. Thanks, Dimitar, mate. I really appreciate it. There's a lot I want to share with people, but there's certain ways that you've got to do things these days. And as you know, because of where you are, a lot of the time, a lot of people watching and viewing, you're never going to meet these people. So it's nice to be able to share it online like this. So Lord Petey's here in Germany. Good evening. I hope you are well. I know you've had a few issues and things over there with the weather and various things in Germany. That's part of Europe that's struggling a little bit. So I really hope everything's all right over there. I've got quite a few friends in Germany and Holland and Belgium, and thankfully they've all been okay. So I know I've heard some stories about flooding and things. Martin's here. Good evening. Blades all Wednesday. I don't get involved in football anymore, Martin. Even when I played, when I was younger. I couldn't watch it just because I want to be on the pitch running and chasing the ball. I never really got into it, but if there was one club that I was more swayed towards, it was Sheffield Wednesday. That's because I don't live far from the ground. So yeah, I don't really get involved in it anymore. I've got enough on my plate trying to figure fishing out. Terry's here. Good evening, Terry. Thanks for all the great messages, mate. I know you're always quick to comment on the videos. Thanks for that, mate. Hi, Jamie. Terry. Greetings from sunny Ireland. How are you doing, mate? Really enjoyed the films lately. Thanks, Terry. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying sharing, and I'm not only enjoying sharing the experiences with you and the sessions with you. I'm enjoying putting them together and uploading them for you. So please let me know what you want to see, what you want to get involved in, and what you want to know about. If anybody's got any fishing related questions tonight, whilst you've got me and whilst you're able to be online live, then please just put them in the chat. Okay, please don't ping them on an email or to my phone or whatever. My phone isn't even here, it's downstairs. So just in the chat, please, because other people can see the chat as well, and they benefit from it as well. Okay, I've been out the last couple of days filming. I'm working currently with a fishery. I'm starting to do more work with fisheries now, because this has become my business now. There are so many great fisheries out there that people don't really know about. So I'm working with some fisheries now, and where I'm just putting kind of videos together, promotional videos, just to show people what they've got on offer and where they are in the country and how good those fisheries are. So I'm just on my second one now, and that's something I'm going to be doing more of. And just as my kind of loyalty to you, I'm going to be uploading those videos on here for you to see as well. So when I've put these package videos together, I've already completed one for a fishery. I'm currently halfway through a project with another one. I will upload them to YouTube for you, so that you can watch and just kind of see what kind of wonderful fisheries there are out there. So, and you can obviously see what I'm up to as well. So I'm sure you'll find those interesting. But they will all be right here on YouTube for you, to obviously free to watch from wherever you are in the world. So many people saying hello. That's great. Good evening, Colin. Hope you're all right, mate. Gammy versus food. That always gets me that log on. Hey, Jamie, have you ever been coarse fishing in Scotland? The only time I've been at, Fish Lock Ken, that's about it. I only went up there once for a 2-day competition over a weekend. And I've got to admit, I wasn't very well. I went up there with a good friend of mine, and it was really nice to see Loch Ken, to see the lake there. It's fantastic. Loch, shouldn't really say lake, should I? But I wasn't very well. That's when I was struggling with my shoulder, and I was taking painkillers. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, it was red hot in the middle of, I think it was the middle of summer, but it was hot. And we just got bitten to death with midges, mosquitoes, or whatever they were. They just attacked us. So it was red hot. We had to have our hoods up with a little bit fastened underneath his chin like that. We were just getting attacked. And every time I cast out, I came back with a crayfish. So I've got to admit, whilst it's a beautiful part of the world, and I am very much an outdoor person, that wasn't a wonderful experience, but I will definitely want to get back up there, definitely. Gary Duggan, hello, Jamie. How's Boston fishing at the moment? Haven't been for a while. I've seen quite a few match results from Boston, Gary. To be fair, I am actually there on Sunday in a match. It's a team match, so it's the Feeder Masters Super League that I'm fishing. That all the the who's who of feeder fishing will be there on Sunday, and it is a team event. So I can't really talk to you at the moment about tactics. But if you send me a message after Sunday, then I'll gladly let you know how it fished and what worked and what didn't work, which might be more important. But yeah, it's been fishing well. But you know what Boston's like. You never know what to expect on that venue now. It's not the same venue it was 3 years ago, by no means. And you never know what you're going to expect. You can go there thinking it's going to be great and it's horrendous, or you can go there thinking it's going to be horrendous and you'll end up breaking the match records. You just don't know what to expect. So if you ping me a message next week, I'll let you know. Andre's here. Good evening, Andre. Hi, Jamie. Is the World Feeder Competition still on for this year? Yes, for those of you that are interested and newcomers to the channel, yes, we are going to the World Championships. We will be going there in 4 weeks' time, and that takes place in France. So that's one of the things that we've been working on. Dean Barlow, who's the England feeder team manager, who is a very good friend of mine and does quite a bit of work with myself on this channel, more so on Patreon TV. He gets involved in lots of the live streams, and all of our group coaching days are with Dean as well. So, myself and Dean are quite close. And yes, we've just been talking about that earlier on today. Yes, we are going to France for the World Championships. It's in about 4 weeks' time. So I've literally got, quite a few days of prep to get ready as regards, obviously travel insurance has changed as regards COVID restrictions. There's so much to put in place. The ferry's getting over there, the digs. There's lots to sort out. So yes, in answer to your question, it is going ahead. All the teams won't be there as normal. The international committee have kind of said that because there will be teams missing from the World Championships this year, just due to COVID, travel restrictions and all that sort of thing, the rankings and the results from this year's World Championship won't contribute to the overall rankings. So, which I suppose fair enough, but I don't know many people that are that concerned with rankings, but it's just a case of managing to get there, have enough teams to make it a championship and compete for a gold medal. So yes, answer to your question, yes, it's taking place, and hopefully there'll be as many teams there as wish. I think the minimum number of teams that they need in order for a World Championships to go ahead is about 6, or it might be 7 teams. I think less than that it can't run any, but once it hits that minimum, then the championship can go ahead. So yes, the answer to your question, Andre. Hello from Romania. Good evening. Love your videos, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Yeah, I've just uploaded a live match. I know lots of you like the live match videos. I had a little bit of a break from them, but I have just uploaded one for you. It is now available to view on Patreon TV. So if you're a member or a member on this channel, you can watch it now without adverts. But for those of you that just want to watch on YouTube as normal, then that will be on Monday. It will Monday at 7 p.m. GMT time. So yeah, Monday that will be uploaded for you, and it's about 40 minutes long as well. So hopefully there's plenty of information there for you, so you can follow me through all the twists and turns of that particular live match. I know lots of you really enjoy those, and I will be trying to do more of them for you. So yeah, hopefully you're going to enjoy those. I mean, it's real life TV. It's I enjoy putting them together because I don't kind of have to script anything. I don't have to plan anything. I just film what happens. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, I just film it for you. And I think you know that what you see in those is honest. You know, if I blank and don't get a bite, then that's what you see. I don't just delete the video. I know some other people do that film live matches. If they have a bad day, you'll never see that video, but you get to see exactly what happens. Ian's here. Hello from Glasgow. Good evening, mate. I believe one slightly longer video per week is exactly what the community needs. Okay, Dimitar, I'm just going to have a quick drink of my coffee before I lose my voice. One slightly longer video, that's no problem. I am going to be filming some longer films, not just videos, ones where they give you a little bit more of the experience of what I've been involved in. So I might go away for a weekend, fishing venues that are a little bit more unpredictable, not commercials. And they're the kind of films that I really want to start filming for you, and I will start putting those together. So please let me know if they're what you want to see. But what I would be interested to ask you right now, while I've got you on a live stream, I mean, I've been on here 16 minutes. I'm going to be on here for an hour, okay? If you can let me know how many of you are or aren't actually on social media. There are so many things that are happening on social media that, you know, when I speak to some of you on the bank, when I bump into you, or you come over to say hello, it's really easy for me to forget how many of you aren't on social media. And because of that, you miss out on so much. You miss out on match results and the updates. There's so much you miss out on, because that has now become the platform that just about all matches are advertised on. You know, that's the one platform where, you know, you can't really, in my opinion, if you're involved in match fishing, certainly, you can't afford not to be on it, because you're going to be missing out on so much. And my question to you is, are there many of you that aren't on social media? And the reason why I ask that is because I could quite easily, once a week, put together a video with all those snapshots, with all those updates from social media that only gets advertised on social media, and put them together into a video for YouTube, so that if you're not on social media, you can still access YouTube and be kept up to date on things, okay? So please let me know what you think to that. That might involve news about upcoming matches. It could be news about match results, or it just could be general news, things what are happening in the angling world. One at the moment is KHV, you know, where we are in England. There are 2 or 3 fisheries now that have been affected over the last 7 days by KHV, and so it's, you know, it's detrimental to their fish stocks. You know, things like that people on YouTube that aren't on social media might not be aware of. So just things like that. Please let me know. That's my question to you. I don't want to answer that question for you. Graham's here. Good evening, Graham Nash. Hope you are well. Good news, Jamie. I'm learning to walk again, so I expect to wet a line before the year's end. Fingers crossed for you, Graham, mate. I know. Well, everybody seems to have had lots in their life, you know, for various different reasons recently. So hopefully, Graham, you're going to be back out before the weather turns again, mate. But yeah, I'm glad things are getting better, mate. Lord Peter, 2 houses under me had their house flooded. Lucky for me, it didn't get to us. Well, I'm glad to hear it for you, but I know things like that are terrible, and there's always something happening somewhere in the world. Andrew Pearson, good evening, Andrew. Jamie, quick question for tomorrow. What length hook length do you use on bomb and pellet? It's a really good question. I experimented at the weekend. In fact, I uploaded a video on this channel yesterday, and I was fishing bomb and pellet, and I only fished with a short hook length. I've been catching more with bomb and pellet with a 4-inch hook length. Now, I'm not even going to try and come up with a reason why that might be better. Possibly it's because when the fish sucks the pellet in, it's only got to suck it in that far, and then it's pulling against the weight of the bomb, or whether the fish is sucking it in and not swimming off out the peg. It's staying there, perhaps still eating some of the loose-fed pellets. I don't know. So what I'd say to you, Andrew, I mean, I like to start on like a 12-inch hook length or 30 centimetres. All right, just start on that sort of length and just see how it goes from there. And just experiment with it. If it's a deeper venue, like 12, 14, 16 foot or whatever it is, then sometimes that slightly longer hook length is better, because the fish sometimes follow the bomb down, you know, just as though it's one of the loose-fed pellets. And obviously a way of encouraging that is to feed first and then cast over the top, so that your pellets following those pellets down. That can be a good way of catching quick fish. But just experiment with it. You know, I didn't think it would make a difference, but it really has done to my fishing recently. You know, I've done it quite a few times now, and I've set off with a conventional 30 centimetre hook length, not really caught, might have caught 1 or 2, but then I've shortened it right up. I mean, I was in a match yesterday and I fished a 6-inch hook length. And I didn't catch many on it, but I mean that's a different issue. That's because I didn't feed it quite right for that. But the day before that, I was out doing some filming for you. I was filming the video that was uploaded on this channel yesterday. That was the hard pellet versus soft pellet video. And I caught better with a 4-inch hook length. So just experiment with it, Andrew. But generally, as a starting rule, 30 centimetres is I like to start on. Patrick Walker, using 8mm pellets on straight lead. What hook length do you use? I was getting cracked off on short lengths with fast little indications on tip. Okay. I'm just going to say something to you now, Patrick. And, you know, this, well, I don't know. I don't know how many people know about what I'm about to say. It might mean something. It might not mean anything. But it's certainly something that might help you out. I once had an issue where I was getting broke off on hook lengths. And the hook length I was using was about 30 centimetres. And what was happening was I was hooking fish, not really big fish, you know, not ridiculously big fish. But they were breaking me, and they shouldn't have been breaking me on the line that I was using. You know, I was using a strong line, and normally I would always land those fish. It wasn't an issue. But when I was getting cut, it was like I was getting cut off. So it wasn't breaking at the hook. It wasn't breaking at the loop-to-loop bit where the loops are. It was kind of breaking just up from the hook. And it coincided with when I was trying out a new hook length line. You know, and I mean, I'm always trying different ones out, just like we all are, trying to look for an edge and just improve our own game. And it coincided with that. And what I kind of did was I just put that line down to one side, and I thought, there's something not right here. This has never happened before with the lines that I've used before. There's no way that should be breaking. And I kind of dismissed it and thought it was the line. Fast forward about 3 months, I was next to a very well-known angler on a match. It was one of the Feeder Masters qualifiers. And he is sponsored by the company whose line I was actually trying out that day. And I asked him what he was using. And he said he was using that line. I says, do you know what? I says, can I ask you? I said, I've had a bit of a funny experience with that line. He says, what do you mean? So I explained to him the problem. And he says, I bet it only happened on one venue. I said, well, it happened on 2 venues. I tried it on lots of different venues. I said, but it only happened on 2 venues. He says, do you know what it is? I said, no. I said, I haven't had time to sit down and think it through. I says, because I put it to one side and moved on to the next one that I wanted to try. And that's what happened. And basically what he said was happening, he said he'd experienced the same thing. And what he said it was, he says it was happening on a venue that had got F1s and carp in it. And it was the actual fish. It was the fins of the fish that was cutting the line. So as you were hooking fish, I don't know if you were, oh no, you are, yeah, rod and line fishing. When you were hooking the fish, obviously you hook a fish and it swims away. The line goes over the fish, whether it's going that way, up, down, whatever. The line's going over the fish, and it's, as fish in commercial fisheries, some are worse than others or better than others. Sometimes they get a little bit damaged. The fins are damaged if they've been in nets a lot. It's that what was cutting the line. And I actually revisited that venue again afterwards, just to kind of try and put something to bed on that. And it was ironic, or maybe it wasn't ironic, maybe it was the explanation, that when I started catching some fish, these fish had got bad fins on them. Some of the fins were damaged, they were half missing, some of them had got the little spikes on them. And it just made sense. It made sense. And I haven't been back there since. However, what I do know is that when I switched to a 4-inch hook length, I never had that problem. So my way of thinking is that the 4-inch hook length, because it's so short, that's not long enough to go over a fish's back. So even when you hook a fish on a hook length that's that long, even if it moves straight away, well, the line is only really going across its face. You know, it's not getting a chance to go over its fin. It might be something for you to try, and it might just be a talking point. It might be a topic of discussion. It could be whatever. But just bear it in mind, Patrick. That could be the reason. That's what happened to me. And until I spoke to that angler, I never really thought about that before. But anyway, it's a talking point, if nothing else. Colin, QPR, I want to use 4mm pellets on a method. What do you think? Yeah, I know lots of people that do it. I know lots of people that mix the pellets. They put micro pellets and 4mm pellets together, mix them all together and put them around the method feeder. I know 1 or 2 big name anglers that like to do that just to give the fish a little bit of variety. And as daft as it sounds, depending on the pellet, a 4mm pellet, depending on your band as well, and depending on the fishery, you can actually band 4mm pellets. So that's a great way of making your hook bait look exactly like what you're putting around your feeder. Okay, so that's just an extra little twist for you. But you will need some really small bands for that, obviously, for a 4mm pellet. James Adams, good evening, mate. Greetings from Berlin. Good, thank you. Thanks for watching all the videos. I'm glad you're enjoying them. I'm glad you're learning a little bit. Terry Stockley, Jamie, I've been finding sweet corn outscoring worm here. For some reason, putting corn through the ground bait outscores worm. Have you found that? Yes, definitely, on certain occasions. The thing with corn is, I know it depends on the venues that you're fishing. The great thing with corn is it's really robust, it's very, very visual, and it's readily available. You know, everybody's using corn on lots of venues. You know, everybody can get hold of it. It's relatively cheap, but it's so visual as well. And, you know, what I tend to find is, especially in Ireland, but we've seen it on venues over here in England as well, is that, you know, you tend to catch on it later on in the session. So when you start your session, you might be fishing with worm, maggots, casters, whatever it is. Just keep putting a couple of grains of corn in your feeder as you're fishing. And it's amazing how when you get to that, you know, that last third of the match, when they've seen that bait going in, you know, they get used to it on the bottom. They've probably been feeding on it. Suddenly put a piece on. It's amazing how many times you can get a better fish or run a better fish on the corn later on. Yeah, and it's a lot cheaper to use than worms as well, isn't it? I don't know what the cost of worms are like where you are, but here in England, they're creeping up again, creeping up again, creeping up. I mean, we're probably looking at about £20 a kilo now, maybe a little bit less average, but it adds up, because when you are on some fish, you can go for a lot of them. Andreas, send your next feeder match live. I don't know if I could do that. I want to do some live sessions. So this is a live stream, obviously, but I want to do some from the bank for you. So I am just working on a setup where I can do that for you. So hopefully you'll enjoy those. The trouble with live feeds is on YouTube is that they're not really good for your channel. You know, lots of people probably know that if you go live on Facebook, for example, it can really help the reach of your channel or your page, because it gets lots of interaction. You know, whereas on YouTube, going live doesn't grow your channel as regards, a reach or anything like that. You know, it just really helps with interaction with people, with viewers and subscribers. Okay, so that's the only reason why I do this. You don't, a video like this will probably earn about 50 pence. That's about it. But it's just a really nice way to interact with you live. You know, it's great, and I'm glad someone has logged on. So thanks for that. Jeff's here. Good evening, Jeff. Are you a fan of fluorocarbon hook lengths, bagger? Fluorocarbon, the subject we keep getting asked about. I'm going to answer that and say no. I've experimented a hell of a lot with fluorocarbon over the last 3 years, on and off, but really more so for the last 2 years. I just can't see what I'm gaining from using it. All right, and by that I basically mean that fluorocarbon has some great qualities, but there are some things that it's not so great at. Normal mono hook lengths, or the hook lengths that I've been using all my life, yeah, they've got some great qualities, but it's not fantastic in every area. So with fluorocarbon, what you're kind of gaining somewhere, you're kind of losing elsewhere. So on the overall picture of things, the way that I fish, the way that I prepare, the way that I make my hook lengths and everything, I wouldn't be any better off by using it. So I'm quite happy to just stick to what I'm doing. Now, I've got an open mind. You know, if things change in the future and I suddenly, I'm suddenly not catching fish like other people are on venues where fluorocarbon are meant to give you an edge, then obviously I'll revisit it. I'll look at it again if I think that's the issue. But I'm a massive believer, and, I'm going to say it again, I'm a massive believer that feeding and application is more important than trying to blow your head up with looking at different sorts of materials for your hook lengths. Lots of people go into fluorocarbon because they've read that some of the biggest names in feeder fishing certainly are using fluorocarbon, but I also know that there's the exact same of big name feeder anglers that aren't using it. And because I've spoke to them face to face and I'm friends with them, and it's just each to their own. Anybody what's trying to improve the game, I think, rather than just going out and spending a fortune trying every different little bit of fluorocarbon, trying the latest rod, trying the latest reel, I think if those people thought more about the actual application of where you're feeding, how you're feeding, then I think that'll have a bigger impact on your fishing. And that's been my mentality. That's what I've done on my own game. You know, I fished a match last week where, you know, I had a great day's fishing. You know, I did really well from where I was. And I know I should have caught more fish. But that wasn't down to me not using fluorocarbon. That was because I didn't feed it right for the first 45 minutes. Are you with me? So there's things like that that I don't get bogged down with anymore, Jeff. Sorry if that's a little bit too honest. But, you know, it's I just don't see what I'd gain from it. So I'm quite happy to carry on using what I'm using. I hope that answers that. But please let me know, Jeff, are you using it? You know, I mean, as you know, I do half of the stuff that I do, certainly group coaching with Dean Barlow. Dean Barlow swears by it. He loves fluorocarbon. Not on every scenario, but in certain scenarios, he says it's unbeatable. And it's, you know, it's what you're comfortable with and what you've got confidence with. Marcel's here. Good evening, Marcel. Good evening here from Holland. I enjoy your movies very much and learn a lot of it. Keep up making those nice videos. Have you ever fished in Holland? I'm just going to have a quick drink of this, Marcel. I've fished about 4 times in Holland. 3 times I fished the European Feeder Challenge. That was on the Ghent-Terneuzen Canal, all right, which I'm sure you're familiar with. That was obviously under the England banner. And the other time I went there, I fished on the Vaughan Canal. And there is a video of that on this channel if you haven't, or, well, you can't have seen it actually. Otherwise, you know that I have fished in Holland. So there is a video on here. I fished the Anglo-Dutch Festival in Holland on the Vaughan Canal. So that is on this channel for you if you want to have a look at that, Marcel. But yeah, it's beautiful country. I really like Holland, and it's so close. It's so easy to get to. It always surprises me how quickly you can actually get there under normal travel circumstances. So yeah, Gary, hi Jamie, keep up the good work, please. Fish the Weirpool at Western Pools, Oswestry. There must be hundreds of people who would love to see you there. Oh, do the filming while you're there. Regards, Gary. That's nice to hear. Thanks for that, Gary. You know, there's so many things that I hear like that, and I never would have been aware of. Western Pools, I mean, you know, I hear nothing but great things about Western Pools. You know, one of the things I hear about is, I'm going to tell you this because it might make you laugh. I don't know, Gary, but one of the things I hear, well, there's 2 things I hear. One is that they've got a great match scene there. There's loads of anglers there fishing the open matches there. And the other thing I've heard is that a certain matrix angler went to fish an open match there, and he felt like a granddad. He felt like the oldest man on the bank. So that one, to me, suggests that lots of the people fishing the matches there are at the younger end of the age group. Now, please don't let me know if that's true. If it is true, I'm glad to hear it, because everyone says that, you know, there aren't many youngsters coming into the sport. So, but I've heard nothing but great things about it up there. And one of my, well, it's not a goal. It is part of the plan. It's what will happen, and that will be me visiting fisheries all over the country, all over Europe, eventually, and sharing the experiences with you. Okay, so yeah, thanks for that, Gary. I really appreciate that. Stephen's here. Good evening, Stephen Waits. Doing a festival at Floatfish Farm, 2nd day in, and I caught the suntan the last day tomorrow. Well, you caught a suntan. Be careful though, mate. That sun can be dangerous. But yeah, I mean, I've never fished that venue. One of our matrix anglers fishes there quite a lot. I don't know if Polly goes there, Mark Pollard, but yeah, I hear lots of good things about that. But good luck tomorrow. Go out in style. If you're going to go out in style tomorrow. Michael. Hi, Michael. Hi, Jamie. Great system with pellets. Have you heard how Bill Owen is getting on? If you can just comment underneath on that one. Oh, sorry, the feed's gone silly here. Just hang on a second. The feed's gone messed up. Michael, if you can comment underneath this video for me, please, instead of the chat, and I'll answer that on there for you. It's just more people will see the comment underneath the video as opposed to in the chat. Sometimes people can't read the chat, you see. So sorry about that. Sorry to interrupt you, but Mark Shaw, any plans to release your own line of feeders? I'll be absolutely honest with you. You know, this is it's something that keeps coming up all the time. I've been approached to launch several different things, you know, signature rods and various other things, clothing and all that sort of thing. And for various reasons, you know, I haven't gone down that avenue, and I won't go down that avenue, not just yet anyway. Who knows what's around the corner. But no, I haven't got any plans for that yet. I've had a few people asking me to get some caps released again, some just for this channel. So there are caps on the way. They're in production at the moment. So there are caps, but I've got to be careful, because if I start doing things like that, it's going to take me take my time away from producing videos. And I know that, you know, you're here for the videos. You're here to share the experiences. So I'm just getting a nice balance now where I can work on that side of it, like launching the caps and one or two other things as well. It's like the courses, the online courses that lots of you have enrolled on. So thank you very much for those. I am working on another course. If anyone's interested in improving, fast tracking your feeder fishing, underneath here there's a link to the courses. But I've been asked to do several other courses, but the main one that I'm working on at the moment is it's a course about fast tracking your learning about rod and line fishing on commercials. So if you're one of those people that doesn't want to wave 60 meters of pole around, or you're not quite a spring chicken like you used to, but you still want to compete in matches, then you can do that with rod and line. So that course that is on its way is going to be, it's a course that focuses completely on method feeder fishing. Okay, it focuses on bomb and pellet fishing, and then it ultimately focuses on pellet waggler fishing. They're the three key disciplines, depending on the venues you're going to, that will allow you to compete without a pole on commercial venues. All right, and in the method feeder one, that will also be tackling the margins, because there's lots of specifics to that style of fishing that you need to know. You know, I'm not saying you will use them, but it depends on the venue that you're going on. And there's lots of little things that I've picked up over the last few years that, you know, I mean, you've seen me, I fish with a pole once a year, that's it, you know. So there are ways of competing with just rod and reel sort of fishing on commercial venues. So that's a course that will be out pretty soon. I've been putting that together for you, and I've learned so much from the previous courses that have done really, really well. But obviously everything I've learned there has made this one even better. Okay, but if you want to have a look at those, there's a link underneath. So Terry Stockley, gold medal for you in France and goal for the team. Unfortunately, Terry, I'm not fishing. I'm one of Dean's right-hand men. I shall be there doing what I do. I'll be there's so much to that. But yeah, I mean, the lads are confident, as you can imagine. They have seen the venue. But yeah, we're going to be over there for training week. We will be over there for at least, I think it's about 8 days. I think we're going to be there for. We'll be there for the full training week, where we train Monday through to Friday. Hopefully come up with a winning plan. The team will be selected, the 5 anglers that will fish day 1, and then we'll fish day 1 and day 2, and then we'll be coming back home to England on the Monday. So yeah, a hectic period, but you know, that's what it is. You know, if I wasn't going, I'd certainly want to be going. So Martin, when you fish the Iberian Masters matches, I noticed usually a couple of carp is a good day, not a big weight. Couldn't you set your stall out and fish for roach and bream, etc., or aren't they there? It's a brilliant question, Martin, you know, and it's one that I've probably only been asked once or twice before, which surprises me. No, those fish aren't there. When we go to the Iberian Masters, there are only 2 species. All right, I don't know if there's the odd little sun perch. I'm not sure if there's a sun perch there or not. But anyway, there are carp and carasio. That is it. So there aren't any roach, there aren't any bream. And that's why we have to fish the way that we do. And the carasio, you can't really win with carasio. You know, sometimes if you're on a good peg or you get your tactics right, you might catch 2 or 3, 4 carasio, but they're not huge fish. It's the carp that you need. So yeah, it's a very exciting venue. Unfortunately, the fishing isn't very good, but I suppose that's part of its appeal. But that's a wonderful trip. We missed that this year. If anyone is interested in watching that, that's the Iberian Masters, which we go and compete in every year in Spain. I think there are 3. Are there 3 films on here, or 2 films of the Iberian Masters? I think there are 3 right here on this channel. So if you want to see all the twists and turns of that, getting over to Spain and competing in that event, then that is on this channel for you to watch. It's in the playlists. But yes, good question, Martin. But no, those fish aren't there. Jeff, not on social media, bagger. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Terry, that would be great. I ain't on social media. Terry's not on social media. Thank you. I'm banned on social media. Free speech is only allowed when it suits. Yeah, I agree with that, Martin. I agree with that. Sorry to hear you're banned, but yeah. There's quite a few. You're saying Paul Davis is not on social media. That's great. That's great. Thank you for that. Christian, hello, Jeremy. Hope all is well. Any trips to Ireland planned? No, I was talking about Ireland this morning. We were talking about the World Pairs. The World Pairs, as most of you will know, takes place the first week of September, and it's a pairs competition. And there still isn't news about whether it's going to go ahead or not this year. The key issue with the World Pairs at the moment is that the World Pairs takes place in Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland. However, you can't fish festivals or can't fish competitions in both those. All right, and that's the issue at the moment because of COVID and all that sort of thing. So we don't know. We don't know if it's going ahead or not. If it is going to go ahead, I will be there with my partner, Richie Hull, who I fish that event with every year. We will be there competing. If it doesn't go ahead, I would still like to get over to Ireland to fish a festival. And if that's not possible, I would still love to get over to Ireland to do a load of filming for you. So, yeah. So I'm hoping I will be there. But, I mean, the main competition, Christian, is the World Pairs, and we're still waiting to hear whether it's going to go ahead or not. Colin, not on social media, but welcome any updates or other YouTube. Look forward to them. Thanks, Colin. Terry, Jamie, Bean finding sweet corn outscoring. That's come up again. Sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Is that Josek? Hi, can we get on the end of your movie? 5 seconds. I'm not sure what that is. Channel time for a catch-all detail. The chat's acting a little bit daft. I do apologise. Freddie Brammer, hi Jamie. Baits for mugging carp. The main two baits that, I mean, I very rarely go on venues where you have to mug carp anyway. I don't really do it. But the two main baits that I know, the top anglers, or anglers that do really, really well with it, the main two baits that they use are pellets and meat. All right, but I do hear people using maggots, things like, you know, baits like that. But pellet and meat seems to be brilliant. Not that meat's allowed on every venue, but it's a slower sinking bait, nice and visual. And pellets are pellets, you know. Most fish know what pellets are these days. Patrick, I was using 4-inch, 5-inch, and 6-inch hook lengths. Yeah, I mean, are they really tied, Patrick? I mean, that's something else that you need. You know, I don't want to get negative about any brands out there, about any products that maybe not up to scratch, but I've been out coaching on one-to-one sessions with probably 3 or 4 people that have used shop bought ready tied hook lengths, and I won't name the brands because I don't want to give them any sort of bad publicity, but maybe they were a faulty batch, but they definitely had some break on them. Maybe they were a faulty batch, I don't know. But if they are pre-tied, that might be an issue, Patrick. But if you're tying them yourself, then it might be down to the material that you're using. Are you using fluorocarbon, or I don't know. If you can let me know, please, Patrick. Andy Earp, good evening, mate. Hi, Jamie. Hope you are well. Just enjoying a cold beer in the garden. That's where I thought most people would be. I'm not on social media. Good idea to post all the latest news on this channel. Loving all the videos. Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate the feedback. Freddie. Hi, Jamie. What Waggler rod would you suggest for silvers and for potential of hooking the odd carp? I only use 2 rods, Freddie, and, you know, there's no surprises for guessing that they're both matrix rods. But basically, we've got a 13-foot match rod, and that is what I would use if I was fishing on the rivers with a stick float or a Waggler or for silverfish. So that's the Pro Commercial 13-foot rod. Beautiful rod, but I don't know what it's like with carp on it. I'll be honest with you, I've never hooked a carp on it. And then the only other rod that I use is the 11-foot Pro Commercial pellet Waggler rod. It doesn't say that on it; it just says Waggler. But that's surprisingly soft. You know, it is an issue that I've talked about over the last few weeks: the softness of some pellet Waggler rods, or rods that are designed for that. And it's amazing how soft some of them are. But I haven't developed a pellet Waggler rod, but I've spoken to anglers that have, and the reasoning why they are designed the way that they're designed. Really come up with 2 things. I mean, one of them is that they're like a softer rod because number one, when you're playing the fish and it comes up, because it's a softer rod, the fish is closer to you, so you can net the fish much easier. So that's one reason. And the other reason is something that I hadn't really thought too much about, and that is that a softer rod will let you cast the Waggler straighter. Because it's a soft rod, whether you're using a 3, 4, 5 gram Waggler, wherever it is, 6 gram. When you bring the rod back to cast in, because it's softer, there's more bend there, and it gives the rod chance to bend more, and that sends it in a straighter line. Whereas if you can imagine doing that with a really, really stiff rod, well, it can quite easily go off at an angle, and that's not something I really thought about. So you might find the 11-foot Pro Commercial, if that's within your budget, is suitable for you. But they're the only 2 that I use now. I used different rods years and years ago, obviously, when I was a kid, but it was a very different fishing world back then. Andy Pearson, hi Andy, hope you're well, mate. What's the maximum depth you would use ground bait on method feeder? The thing with ground bait on a method feeder, in answer to that question straight away, I mean, I'd be quite happy using ground bait on a method feeder, anything up to about 10 feet. More than that, I'd go down the pellet feeder route, just because it's a lot more encapsulated. It depends what you're fishing for, but I mean, generally with a method feeder, you have to better fish either carp or bream, and you can still catch them on a pellet feeder. So when you get into those deeper waters, a pellet feeder would be the way to go. Just because it just protects the ground bait much more. But don't forget, with a pellet feeder, your ground bait doesn't expand, so it's not going to exit the feeder properly. It'll just stay there. Whereas, a pellet feeder works best with the pellets in, because the pellets expand and that pushes everything out of the hole. So you might want to put some pellets in the feeder first and then cap it with ground bait. It depends what you're targeting and what your plan is. But yeah, I mean, for a pellet feeder to work properly, you need to put some pellets in first, and that'll just help empty the feeder. I think you know what I'm talking about there. Paul Davis, good evening, Paul. Not heard from Polly for ages. Is he fitting well? I'm assuming so. I haven't heard any different. I saw a post on Facebook yesterday, day before. He did a coaching day, and I've seen 2 or 3 messages from him today. So yeah, he must be okay. Otherwise, I would have heard otherwise. Stephen Waits, yeah, it's been Ben Townsend. That's it. Ben Townsend fishes Floatfish Farm all the time. Great angler. Rob Davison, good evening, Rob. Southern Ireland open as from Monday. Booked 2 weeks in September this afternoon. Fantastic. That's great news. Well, maybe there'll be a decision made on the world pairs then. I don't know how much notice Helen Rainsford, who organises the competition and in conjunction with Daiwa, who sponsor the event, I don't know how much notice they can give. But I dare say she won't leave it much longer, because Helen, she obviously knows exactly what she's doing. So, we'd love it to go ahead. So fingers crossed anyway. Christian, you can come over to Ireland and teach me how to feed a fish. Whereabouts do you live, Christian? The thing is, in Ireland, there's so many different ways of fishing, isn't there? It's brilliant. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping to get over there. Well, thank you for everybody for logging on. If anybody's got any more questions you'd like to go through, any sort of fishing topics, anything to do with the channel, with the videos that we've been producing, what kind of videos would you like to see? I don't want to waste my time, our precious time out there on the bank filming videos that you're not interested in. So if you can let me know what sort of videos you prefer. Do you prefer natural venues? Do you prefer commercial venues? I get the impression some of you are new to the sport. Then, what did you think to the Fishing Basics series that I've been doing? That is really for newcomers to the sport, and I know lots of people have found that useful as well. Christian, I'm from Northern Ireland. I fish a lot of pole, whip and feeder. Loads of variety over there, haven't you? Andrew Pearson, do you put your pellet in your mould first or last? It's the other way around with the mould, isn't it? Last. The pellet needs to go. Well, it's a pellet feeder, not like a method feeder or a hybrid feeder. It's a pellet feeder. So I don't use a mould with a pellet feeder. I just put them in by hand. So I need to put the pellets in first, because you need them to expand to push the ground bait out, if that makes sense. Matt Blackmore's here. Good evening, Matt. Hope you're well, mate. When feeder fishing, what strength tip for silvers at around 16 metres? Half ounce, 3/4 ounce, or 1 ounce? That's a Matt Blackmore question. That isn't. I'm surprised you haven't put 0.85 or 0.9, depending on the tow. As soft as you can get away with, Matt. Soft as you can get away with. When you're looking at tip choice, when you're casting 16 metres, it's not like a soft tip when you're casting at range, so it's not going to cause crack-offs. So you want a tip that's as soft as possible, so it's going to register more bites. But don't forget the toe. When I first got into my feeder fishing seriously 9-10 years ago, that was one thing that I overlooked on 2 or 3 occasions, because I thought I was only casting short, because I was only catching small fish. I could get away with a light tip, but what happened was I was using like a half ounce tip, thinking I'm going to see every single indication now, everything. But then what happened was the wind got up and there was a bit of toe in it, and the tip was just bent round like that, because there was that much toe, it just bent the tip round. So I'll be absolutely honest, Matt, as always with you, and that is the venues I fish. For the fish that I fish for, I use a 1 ounce tip. If I put a 1 ounce tip in, it's going to be all right, whatever happens. I've been let down too many times by having softer tips on. But yeah, that's my experience, mate. Ian Taylor, good evening, Ian. Hope you're well. Jamie, do you flavour pellets for method? I do it a lot, but I haven't found any answers to whether flavouring pellets is better than or not. There we go, a nice blunt answer for you. Yeah, I love the idea of flavouring pellets. I love the idea of finding some concoction or some kind of glug or some flavour and colours as well. I got some up there, but that was going to give you an edge. And I've done it so many times, and even after all those so many times, I'm still like that. Can it make any difference? I don't know. I fished a match yesterday on a venue where you can use your own pellets, so you've got complete freedom over the style or type of pellets that you're using. I didn't use any flavouring, and I just caught better than anyone else around me with just normal pellets. And they weren't like the F1 pellets or anything like that, just normal method feeder pellets. So, yes, I've tried it umpteen times. Yes, I think it's a fascinating subject, but I haven't found it to give you any sort of an edge other than confidence. You know, one thing that I have used quite a bit of is boiler crush. I like to use boiler crush, but only when you're after proper carp. For me, my confidence is generally that if it's a venue where specimen carp anglers vacate and they're fishing it all the time, where they're putting spod mixers in, they're putting hundreds of boilers in, I tend to find that boiler crush works better on those venues because it's what they see all the time. However, when I've used boiler crush on venues where that aren't specimen fish like that, I haven't had so good results. So that's just my experience. But at the end of the day, it's down to confidence, you know. And if it's going to give you confidence, then use it. But I haven't. I've experimented so much, and I wish I had a cut and dry or a black and white answer to it as regards what's best when and all that. I haven't. So sorry. Lost and confused. Don't forget the like, guys. Yeah, please give this a thumbs up. If you like these live streams, the more thumbs up we get, the more I do. I don't do anything without feedback from you, right? You know, from you watching. So anything like that really helps me to know what you want to see. So thanks for that, Lost and Confused. Love the log on, by the way. Christian, had a session on the river a few weeks ago. I had 300 plus roach on the whip for about £70. Incredible fishing. That's a way of fishing that we just don't get, you know, don't do enough of it. But it's having the venues where we are. You know, we don't have many venues that fish like that. Alan Youngman, good evening, Alan. Jamie, how would you attack a reservoir for roach, i.e. range, ground bait, hook choice, etc.? Alan, that warrants a video on its own, and you know, I will get round. I'll add that to the list. That is a video that you know, it's something that, you know, I spent a lot of time on reservoirs when I was a kid. Then obviously I was out of the sport, or certainly at open match level for a while. And then when we got back involved in it 10 years ago, one of the key venues we went to was Lake Inniscarra in Ireland, and that's a reservoir. And that's where we just kind of, or where it really sunk in for me, and possibly some of the England team as well, some of the lads, it really sunk in how important depth was as opposed to range. So now when we're fishing reservoirs, yes, range comes into it, but it's usually, if you've got fluctuations in depth, that is, it's the depth that's more important than the range. And by that, I mean that the fish will be more comfortable in a certain depth. And you don't know what that depth is until you draw your peg and cast a bomb out and find out how deep it is. Because as you know from reservoirs, if you fish them all the time, that particular depth, it could be at 10 meters or it could be at 50 meters. So that's when the depth overrules the range, if that makes sense. So if it's a venue you want to try out, or whether it's just a session video, you just want to try and catch some fish, Alan, the best thing I can say to you, if it's just a pleasure session or you just want to catch a few fish, I would definitely put 2 lines in. If you've got fluctuations in depth, put 2 lines in, one in a certain depth and then one in a different depth. You know, and quite often it's one of the easiest ways of doing it is just to halve it. So if you cast a bomb out and it's 10 seconds deep on your 50-meter line, well, just fish a line there, but then find out where it's 5 seconds deep and fish there. And that way you're covering 2 options there. You know, and if you are practicing for a match or you're thinking that's your line of or trail of thought, then that will help you structure that. You know, just trying, because it's amazing how many times you'll fish in, say, the deepest part of the swim and you think, there's no fish there, there's nothing there. and then you'll suddenly go into half that depth and you'll be a bite to chuck, or vice versa, you know. So it's all about the depth. So, you know, hopefully that'll shed a bit of light on that. But ground bait wise, I mean, roach more often than not will use a cereal mix, so non-fish meal. Roach love casters. Sometimes they like a little bit of chopped worm, but generally casters. Pinkies they love, you know, and obviously maggots as well. So I'll keep it really, really nice and simple. And if the water's clear, then go down the dark mix route. You know, if it's clear water like most reservoirs are a lot of the year, just use a dark mix, something with hemp in it, something like that. Or molasses, that's what we tend to use when we go to Ireland as well. Yeah, so I'll answers that for you. Andrew, do you have your rod straight or at an angle when on feeder, as there seems to be different opinions? Andrew, that's something that myself and Dean are always talking about when we're on our group coaching days. There's very much a recent trend of almost pointing your tip towards the feeder. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it at all in any situation for a couple of reasons. But Dean's the same way as well. But there's quite, you know, it's quite a common thing now, certainly with method feeder fishing, that people almost point their tip to the feeder. But not for me. And I'll tell you why. Two key reasons. I mean, there's one or two different reasons, but the first reason is that the less of an angle you've got between your tip and your feeder, the less that tip is going to move when it registers a bite. Okay, so if it's almost in line like that, if that's your feeder and that's your tip can only do that, that's your bite. All right, but if you've got your rod over at a better angle, you've got much more of a bend, so you can read your bites better. Now, that's not so much important when you're method feeder fishing, because the fish tend to be either on or off. All right, but when you've got to read your tip, like when you're fishing for a skimmer's bream, a conventional feeder, you need to read your tip. The other reason why I don't like doing it is because if your feeder's there and your tip's there, if you get a bite like that, when you're in this position here, you pick up, your rod is almost pointing straight at your feeder. All right, and if it's a carp or a big fish that's running, your rod's not bending properly. You know, you're almost playing that fish directly off the reel. Whereas if you've got that angle on it, what's going to happen is when you pick, because you're sideways on, when you pick up and strike, your rod is using the full bend to absorb that fish. All right, so if it's a shy biting fish or one where you're using lighter hook lengths, your rod is actually doing what it's meant to do, and that is absorb that fish. It's going to pull the hook in, absorb any lunges that the fish is going to do. All right, but then by doing that, what you've also got is that if you're fishing to a clip, that is actually giving you extra seconds to get your clip off if you need to take the clip off. So when you pick up on a fish from this angle, you pick up like that, you know, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 seconds for your rod to bend. Okay, you then gauge the size of the fish, so that's 3, 4, 5, and then if the fish does start to run, you've got 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to have 7, 8 seconds there to get your clip off if you need to get your clip off, which is plenty. All right, you've also got the stretch of the line as well. If you're using mono, that's probably an extra second. So all of a sudden, you could almost find 8 to 10 seconds to give you a chance to get your clip off if you've got to. Whereas if you're almost pointing to it, it gives you less time. But it just means your rod is working properly. But I'm obviously quite old school on that. But that just makes sense to me. But I mean, what do you prefer? Please let me know what you prefer. Is it something that you do? No problem, Ian. Thanks, mate. Matthew Grindle. Hi, Jamie. Hope you are well. Yes, I'm very well. Thank you, mate. What advice are you able to give with regard to the use of shot leaders with braid when fishing at short range, up to 20 meters for skimmers and roach? Thanks, Matthew. Lots of people talk about shot leaders with braid. What you've got to remember with shot leaders are it's there for a reason. All right, it's not a law. It's not compulsory. You know, there are lots of people out there that fish with braid direct. You don't always need a shot leader. All right, so you've said you're using a shot leader. Just think about why you're using a shot leader, Matthew. Why do you need it to be there? Now, there's lots of people don't use shot leaders and fishing up to 20 meters. Some of them will use a power gun rig. Lots of you will know what that is. That's basically braid direct to a free running feeder, but then between the braid below your feeder and your hook length, there's a length of power gun. And that just gives a bit of elasticity into your rig. So when you hook a fish, it's going to just absorb. It's a shock absorber. All right. So that's one way of fishing braid direct. The other way, which is the way I generally prefer, or I've done up to now, is to put a shot leader into the rig.
All right. Now, what you've got to remember, Matthew, is that the shot leader can be any length. All right. So I literally, a lot of the times I fish with shot leaders that are only a metre long. So you can literally fish with braid, have a 1 metre shot leader, and depending on the type of material you're using for that, because you're only casting 20 metres, yes, you're casting off that knot. That knot is up your rod. You know, it's not on the reel. You're only casting 20 metres, so that's not an issue. You know, that's not going to crack you off. But you've put 1 metre of sponginess or elasticity into your rig there. All right, so if that's the reason why you wanted to use a shot leader, you can even have it as short as that if you want. Some monos and some lines are much stretchier than others, so you can literally have one that long if you want, or you can have it 2 metres. So that's entirely up to you. So just think about what you're fishing for. My best bit of advice about that is, I mean, you put skimmers and roach. I found that braid up to 20 metres for roach, and that is great, but not for bream. I mean, you put skimmers, I don't know what size they are, but you know, if I was fishing for bream up to 20 metres with braid, I wouldn't do it. I'd use mono because I think it's way too direct at 20 metres. I've done that before and it was horrible. I didn't actually lose any fish by doing it, thankfully, but I was very close to pulling out a fish because it was just, you know, I was up in 2 and 3 pound bream at 20 metres with braid, and it was just too direct. There wasn't enough sponginess there. I switched to mono, and it was much better. So I don't know if that answers that for you, mate. Christian, roach fishing here is usually a dark mix with hemp and casting. Yeah, fantastic fishing, Christian. Like I say, I mean, there aren't many places here in England where we can do that, but certainly not on the match circuit anyway, which is a bit of a shame. Martin, one thing I do with pretty decent results is feed all my free offerings pellets natural as they come out of the bag, but flavour the ones. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Just flavour your hook bait as opposed to, yeah, that's a great idea, Martin. Just gives you a hook bait, makes it stand out from the bait that you're putting in. Alan Youngman, spot on, Jamie. Thanks for the info. No problem, Alan, mate. Thanks for logging on, mate. Have you fishing River Neen in Peterborough? Hi, Matthew. Yes, mate. I have fished it a few times. I haven't fished it since I was a kid. I fished it at intermediate level when I fished for Sheffield Juniors before my England trials. We fished it a lot because a lot of the junior matches were on there. Never fished very well, but yes, I've fished the Neen quite a bit, mate. It's a lovely looking river. Ryan Forrest, good evening, Ryan. Hope you are okay, mate. Yes, I'm all right, thank you, mate. Andrew Pearson, I always have mine at an angle, mate. Of mine is straight and gets a lot more hook length, but yeah, that's it, Andrew. You're just using your rod. You know, the rod is designed to absorb fish's lunges. That's what it's for, you know, and you can only do that if you're at an angle. Point your rod to the fish. You know, there's no absorption there. It's just, all you've got there is the stretching the line. No problem, Matthew. Well, thanks for logging on, everyone. It's been brilliant to hear from you all. I'm really pleased so many of you have logged on without this being an advance notice thing, but there's loads coming this month. If you like these streams, please give the stream a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that, and that just tells me that you'd like me to do more of them, whether you're watching this now or whether you're watching it on playback. All right. There are lots coming up over the next few weeks. Like I said, we've got the World Championships in 4 weeks. I've got some Feeder Masters qualifiers coming up as well. I've got loads of session videos. I've got some already filmed that I'm editing and rolling out for you. The next live match video is on Monday for all you YouTubers. So that's on Monday at 7 p.m. So hopefully you're going to enjoy that one. It's about 40 minutes long, I think it is. So that was an interesting match. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. And like I said, I've got lots of things about fisheries and there's all sorts getting uploaded as I get a chance to edit the videos as I'm working through them. So I've just got a quick message here from Shane. Evening, Jamie. I fished a lake that had the aerator on and it was pulling the pole float all around. Any idea how to stop this moving? I know aerators on commercials that cause a lot of tow and it affects your presentation. Unfortunately not, Shane. The only thing you can do, mate, and I know it might sound like a cop-out, is either fish a bomb over that line or just put a river type float on. That's what river floats are for. Something that's going to combat that tow. A heavier float, you might want to use a bump bar to hold a pole still. If you're talking about pole fishing, yeah. And just, you might have to go over depth just to get that bait still. But it is a problem that happens a lot, mate. So just put a heavier float on and fish it more like you would if it was a strong wind or if you're on a slow moving river. So yeah, it's an action-packed 4 weeks. So I just want to thank you all again for logging on. I really appreciate it, especially on a Friday evening. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Like I said, if you've enjoyed these streams, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in those courses and the new courses, all the links to everything's underneath. So thanks for logging on, everyone. I'm going to have another cup of coffee. I've got a little bit of gardening to do now, and then it's all about preparing for Boston, which is the Feeder Masters Super League on Sunday. So thanks for logging on, everyone. Really appreciate it. Please take care, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday for the next upload. So cheers, everyone. Have a great weekend.